So a priest in Spain could very well serve prison time, up to 3 years in prison, in fact, for speaking out against radical Islam and those people in Europe that are Muslims that are violating the rights of other people. We're talking about sexual assaults, we're talking about stabbings, etc. Now, in Spain, there's a socialist government there, and like all socialists, they're nihilists, they're globalists, they're tyrannical, and they want to persecute this priest for saying that. Now, it is worth noting that specifically he did not speak out against Muslims in general. He said specifically radical Islam. He was talking about Europe being taken over by radical Islam, because that is the case. There are radicals embedded in those so-called refugees that are there to not assimilate, to live without any consequences, to assault people, and the governments don't do anything because reportedly they're afraid of political correctness, right? And of course the elites, they live in their own little enclaves, so they're not affected by the policies that they make. So, the people making these policies, they don't really care about the working people. So I mean, this is really serious. They're already talking about they're going to put this guy, they're going to actually indict him in Spain. They're talking about a 3-year prison sentence because he was speaking out against Muslims violating the rights of other people. Okay, so think about that. So apparently, if that's a precedent for anything, you do not have free speech at all in Spain. In America, I can say that. Now, there are people on the left that go nuts when I say that or somebody says that. But it's worth pointing out, if they can talk about right-wing terrorism, which is basically non-existent, but the ADL just makes this up. The ADL counts people who are really leftist, and they'll call them far right. They really stretch the terms, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But if they could talk about right-wing extremism, which they do all over Europe, but can you imagine not being able to say anything about Islamic terrorism in Spain? It's not about protecting people. This is about persecuting people who are critical of the establishment. Really, that's what it is. And I would expect something like this in Spain, given that Spain is very much a Catholic country, that people in Spain would just about lose it. This is a country where more than half of the young population is unemployed. Okay? Half the young population is unemployed. They have rampant crime. You have separatists in Catalonia. I mean, this is a country is an absolute mess, and you got a socialist government because people think that socialism is the answer, which is pretty troubling of in itself. That just goes to show you there's something really wrong with the education system and the pop culture in the West, really. We have a similar problem here in the United States. We got a lot of young people that think socialism is great. It's not. It's totalitarian. It's not going to solve your problems. It's going to create a lot more problems, okay? But nonetheless, you have all these really big problems. And I would expect, since all over the world you see nationalistic movements rising up, if they actually try to prosecute this priest in Spain, I hope that wakes people up over there, and you're going to have some really serious problems, and hopefully something positive will come out of this. We'll get some positive change in Spain, that Spain hopefully will look to reason and say that socialism is not the answer. They'll look at Milei in Argentina and look at the success story there and say, let's try to reproduce what Milei tried to do, and let's try to stop these immigrants from coming in. Let's deport all the illegals in Spain, and let's do what made the West great, and that is let's have freedom of speech, let's have discourse, and let's have a competition of ideas. Let the free market let people be free because they need to be free in order to be productive. So, yes, I'll put a link in the description below. The Spanish government is stupid enough to try to prosecute a Spanish priest for just telling the truth.